and welcome back, everyone. We are now on Chapter 12, Outsourcing, Managing Interorganizational Relations. Looking at our roadmap, we are now in Chapter 12. We have just finished the project team management chapter, and we'll be moving on to monitoring progress and project closure. Project partnering is the process of transforming contractual arrangements into a cohesive, collaborative team that deals with issues and problems encountered to meet a customer's needs. So before we were talking about internal teams, now we're talking about teams that involve members who are external to your organization. Factors that favor partnering: existence of common goals, high cost of the adversarial approach to working together, and shared benefits of the collaborative approach. The advantages of outsourcing project work are cost reduction, faster project completion, a high level of expertise if you're hiring subject matter expertise that you may not have within your organization, and flexibility. Disadvantages could be coordination breakdowns. It's hard to manage people who are not within your organization sometimes if there's not something in place to make sure that can happen. There's a loss of control, interpersonal conflict, security issues, and also cultural issues. Some best practices in outsourcing project work are having well-defined requirements and procedures. So the RFPs that you look at for your team projects sometimes are very detailed and very specific, and other times there are more general requirements. It's better to have well-defined requirements up front. Training is also helpful. Frequent review and status updates throughout the duration of the project. Co-location when needed. Fair and incentive-laden contracts, and long-term outsourcing relationships. Key approaches between partnering and traditional approaches to managing contractor relationships. The partnering approach has mutual trust, forms the basis of shared working relationships. Joint project team exists within high level of interaction, having open communication, shared goals and objectives, and long-term commitment. So you go in thinking that this won't be the only project you work on together. The traditional approach has been suspicion and distrust. Each party is wary of the motives of the other. Each party's goals and objectives are geared to what is best for that individual organization. Having independent project teams versus one. Teams are spatially separated. Communications are structured and guarded. And single project contracting is normal. There's no long-term commitment. Continuing this idea of partnering in traditional approaches. For another example, access to each other's organizational resources is available as a partnering approach versus access is limited in the traditional approach. In partnering, risk is shared jointly among the partners versus risk is transferred to the other party. So having a partnering versus a traditional adversarial approach. This slide shows strategies for communicating with outsourcers. Strategy 1 is recognizing cultural differences, and that's business culture as well as perhaps diversity and ethnicity and language cultures. Strategy 2, choosing the right words, confirming your requirements as strategy 3, and setting deadlines as strategy 4. This shows an example of a project partnering charter for the Edwards Air Force Base F-22 fighter jet. And so the organizations that were involved in that, all these companies here, signed a declaration and this charter to say what exactly they were going to do, how were they going to partner and work together, because there are so many companies here building one plane. And so some of the things that they wrote are they would incorporate lessons learned from other F-22 projects. They would maintain positive cooperative relationships. They would have a safe environment. And they had signatures from, I guess, all of the leaders of these companies. So to set the stage for successful partnering, Some of the things that can be done are selecting the right partner, voluntary, experienced, willing, with committed top management, build a collaborative relationship among the project managers from each organization, and team building with the stakeholders. Expand the partnership commitment to include other key managers and specialists. During project implementation, in order to sustain collaborative relationships, establish a we culture as opposed to an us versus and them attitude toward the project. Co-location, having employees from different organizations work together at the same location. Having problem resolution methods, continuous improvement ideas, joint evaluation, and persistent leadership. When the project is complete, it's a good idea to have a way to celebrate your success. Conducting joint reviews of accomplishments, having a celebration, recognizing contributions. This slide discusses why partnering efforts may fail. An important idea is that senior management fails to address problems or does not empower the team members to solve problems. Cultural differences are not adequately dealt with such that a common team culture can develop. No formal evaluation in place to identify problems, and a lack of incentive for continuous improvement efforts. The advantages of working long-term with contractors and consultants is there are reduced administrative costs of hiring multiple contractors or consultants, more efficient utilization of resources, improved communication, having a relationship, essentially. To manage customer relations, what's important: customer satisfaction. Having dissatisfied customers can greatly harm the firm's reputation. Every customer has a unique set of performance expectations. Satisfaction is a perceptual relationship, perceived performance over expected performance. And project managers must be skilled at managing both customer expectations and their perceptions. Some ideas to manage customer expectations are not overselling, having a well-defined scope statement, sharing significant problems and risks, keeping everyone informed, informing customers early in decisions about project development changes. One of the PMBOK advantages of studying the PMBOK is understanding how to manage your stakeholders, and customers are key stakeholders. The procurement management process involves planning purchases and acquisitions, planning contracting, requesting seller responses, selecting sellers, administering the contract, closing the contract. And in most organizations, the procurement organization or the procurement department will handle teaming with the project team to make purchases, whether it's equipment or materials, or hiring of resources. The contract defined. Contracts are formal agreements between two parties wherein the contractor obligates itself to perform a service and the client obligates itself to do something in return, normally paying that contractor. The contract defines the responsibilities of the parties, spells out the conditions of its operations, defines the rights of the parties to each other, and grants remedies to a party if the other party breaches its transactional obligations. Some types of contracts are fixed price contracts or lump sum agreements, where the contractor with the lowest bid agrees to perform all work specified in the contract at a fixed price. The disadvantage is that for owners is that it's more difficult and more costly to prepare. The primary disadvantage for contractors is the risk of underestimating project costs. Another type contract is a cost plus contract, where the contractor is reimbursed for all direct allowable costs, materials, labor, and travel, plus an additional pre-negotiated fee set as a percentage of the total cost. The risk to the client is relying on the contractor's best efforts to contain costs. Some controls could be performance and schedule incentives and cost-sharing clauses. For the team project, we will have an activity where you would discuss your role as an outsourced contractor or consultant company, What will be important for you to have in your contract before you sign it? What are your company's requirements? Financial, human resource, etc. What type of contract is best or is in your company's best interest, in your client's best interest, the best interest for everyone involved, and why? Thank you for your attention. And before I move on, you must write a partnering contract with your client's input, and your instructor is your client. Thank you for your attention.